Hey, this is the World Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a question that I'm certain has been on a lot of people's minds nowadays, particularly with what's been going on in the United States. It's the question of, should Donald Trump have been arrested, which he has been arrested. So for this question, I am going to answer it as much as someone who, like me, is a leftist. Even still, I'll try to answer it in an unbiased way. Whether you're someone who's left wing or right wing, you should be able to hear this, and through hearing this, realize what the answer is, or I should say, if this answer makes any sense. Okay, so let's get started. So the first answer to the question is, simply put it, to answer it is yes. Donald Trump should have been arrested, because the truth of the matter is that aside from many of his scandals in the past, to even, of course, the more controversial ones, defending the Confederate flag, okay, like that makes perfect sense, and saying, as well as saying, oh, Robert E. Lee, what would happen if Robert E. Lee, when the Americans were pulling out of our Afghanistan under Joe Biden, what would happen if Robert E. Lee was general? Like, stuff like that, like even controversial stuff like that he already has on his name. The truth of the matter is that he did something that clearly was very insensitive and dangerous to the people of the United States. He had a lot of classified documents and so on and so forth in his private room. There was much evidence to support that, alongside the fact that, to go alongside that, the fact that he, out of all the other things as well he's also done, is just not really do much of a good job. Like, he spends most of his time on Twitter, just talking a lot, at least when he was president, talking a lot of crap instead of dealing with the major issues Americans face. And and back to the point I was discussing, he had classified documents. This is not a joke, because if you have classified documents, even if you're someone who has different political views, that's not a game, particularly when it comes to nuclear weapons. He had a stash of nuclear weapons, papers in his house, that could have been stolen, because of course there's some very powerful people out there that don't like the United States, more like powerful nations that don't like the United States. Someone could have broken his house and stolen, or even some random thug or criminal could have broken in his house and found the stuff and sold it on the black market to people who would be willing to pay the highest amount of money. So the truth of the matter is, he did all that stuff. There's sufficient evidence to prove it, and the right wing hasn't done a good job in even confronting the issue or even dismissing it, to be quite blunt. Now, even aside from all the controversial things he has said, as I said, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible for this discussion. When you play around with things like that, that is not something you want to play around with. That can really screw things up. And he was doing that. Okay? Because the truth of the matter is, even when you try to be unbiased, when you talk about, of course, whether, even if he's a bigot, which it clearly obvious he is, he doesn't like black people, and he's shown it subliminally in a lot of cases, alongside the fact that he just comes off as not a very nice person. The truth of the matter is that, was he a good president? Was he efficient? Was he good at his job and stuff? So that's what I'm assessing here. And the truth of the matter is, when it comes to even doing those things, he didn't do a good job, because they had those classified documents in, you know, in his house, not to mention the fact that he's quite good friends with Vladimir Putin, and he hasn't even once, for someone as outspoken as him, who at one point couldn't even go like a single day without voicing his opinion. You never hear him ever say a single thing about, you know, his views on the Ukraine war. You don't hear anything. And this is being unbiased here. You know, the truth of the matter is, when do you hear a single freaking thing when it comes to him talking about the Ukraine war? You know, I know what Vladimir Putin was doing was evil. Nothing. When Barack Obama was in power, you know, if he did the smallest thing or he didn't confront certain issues, you know, people would complain about him. They even complain about him, you know, he's being too hard or not even hard, like just being too lenient on the Iranian leaders, you know. People would complain about it. People were complaining. I remember even with how he responded to situations with Israel, you know, Israel, for crying out loud, which, to put it bluntly, to even try to not sound racist, you can kind of tell Israel actually kind of does start a lot of shit in that region. But yeah, like even then, even aside from my personal beliefs, look at what they did to, about all the times Iran said they were going to attack Israel, you know, and they said, okay, we want a strong president who's going to confront the issues, to put it bluntly, who's going to confront the issues. That's what we want. You want a strong president who's going to condemn Iran and this and that, and condemn Iran or condemn this other person and stuff. Where's Donald Trump confronting those same exact, you know, people, you know, at least particularly pertaining specifically to Russia. Vladimir Putin has been the mastermind of anti-American establishmentism for the longest time. Why is he not confronting it about it? You see what I'm saying? So to answer your question, even back to the main question about why would he do the things that he was doing, the truth is, I mean, why would he have those things in his house? And like God knows what he was doing with some of them even being in his bathroom. Like, the truth of the matter is, what he did was irresponsible. It's not a left or wing or right wing issue. They have the right to fight him in court, or in other words, you know, they have the right to put him in prison. That is a criminal offense. And the truth of the matter is, even with the argument, well, you know, the American economy was better under Trump and blah, 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 blah. You know, well, the truth of the matter is, look who was the one who put America in a bad economy situation in the first place that's ever recovered from? A Republican. And not to mention, there's been a huge amount of times America has had a good quality economy. If anything, to put it bluntly. For a long time. You know, there's a long time America's had a good quality economy. You know, even under Obama, there was a good period of time America was doing quite well economically. You know, so what's the difference with simply Donald Trump being in a position of power? You know, so like, what does that have to do with anything? America, you know, the economy fluctuates and so on and so forth all the time. What the hell does, oh yeah, you know, Donald Trump somehow made things a lot better have to do with anything? The truth of the matter is, Donald Trump is a bad leader, and he definitely showed it with the situation. He didn't do a good job. You know, the world was, of course, a lot more stable from 2016 to 2020 when he was serving his first term. So it's kind of hard to really assess, besides those pre-COVID days as well. So it's kind of hard to, of course, assess in all honesty, of course, did he really make much of a difference as president? So whatever the case of the matter is, the truth of the matter is that he, simply put it, is a bad president. And he should be in prison for what he did. Anyway, this is my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like more videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And that is all. And simply put it, later.